Hello, welcome back to this series of interview with entrepreneurs as part of our explorations in entrepreneurship course. I'm your host Pradyun Rao as part of the BBA DBE team. Today we have with us a very special, very exciting guest, Dhananjay DJ Ramakrishnappa. Thank you very much for being here. So DJ, as he's most fondly called, is actually software engineer turned program manager turned founder volunteer of Joining the Dots Foundation, where they're doing some great work in the education sector. So there are lots of interesting stories that DJ has of students, of volunteers, of his whole journey into being a software engineer in the US, coming back to India and working in the education sector here in rural India and beyond. So first, I'd like to know a little bit more about Joining the Dots Foundation and what the great work that you folks are doing there.
Thanks, Pradyun. Absolute pleasure being here. Joining the Dots Foundation was started in 2014. The whole idea of starting this foundation was, I think Dr. Abdul Kalam wrote in his book, Target 3 billion and India 2020, 25 years ago. So he wrote something very meaningful. He said, he coined a term called PURA, P-U-R-A, providing urban amenities to rural areas. What he said was, I think whatever opportunities are available in your metropolitans, take it to rural areas and I think India will get developed. It was a very simple formula. Okay, he said two things, I think do this and like don't give freebies. I think what is happening is the reverse. But that's all we did. I think if you read that book, I would still recommend that book to a lot of
yes, I actually have a copy. I've read. Yeah,
you should really read it. I think it is so relevant to today's India. We got inspired by that, and I think pretty much everybody in my generation was inspired by Dr. Kalam, Bharat Ratna Kalam.
Correct.
Right. So then, yeah, that's what inspired us to do this, and that's what we did. So we took quality education, sports, anything that was available in a good school in Bangalore. I think we made sure I think that would be available in a school in government schools. But what has happened there is, I think, the kind of results, I think we'll speak about it in the next part of the discussion. So we primarily work in the field of education, sports, military training, healthcare and environment. Okay. These are the 5 areas.
Wow.
Our mission statement is every student must become the best version of themselves. And for that they need good education, good sports, I think good, of course, environment and good healthcare. And that's all we are doing. I think it's a very simple framework, a very hard-working I think implementation of a very simple framework.
Wow, that's fantastic. So, DJ, I think we want to know the origin story, but first we'd like to know a little bit more about you. So, there's always some story on how this started, right? But more so, I'd like to know the story behind your own self. So, what was your childhood like? What kind of friends did you have? What kind of things did you do in your childhood? Like to know that.
I was the youngest of the 4 siblings. I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. They're all much older to me, so I did not have that sibling rivalry growing up. So I couldn't hit any one of them because my eldest brother was 8 years older to me, and the other one was 6. So they were all very good at studies. So I was probably not the best when it came to education. I was very curious. I would always question why, but I was not that quintessential read page to page in the book and score a lot of marks. I ended up okay. I scored well. I think I went to National College.
Yeah.
Then I went to Siddhaganga Institute of Technology, which was top 7 or 8 college at that point in time. Childhood was always a little rebellious. So my parents were, they had a good influence in their families, so that kind of, we inherited that. So we could be a little brash and still kind of get through it, which was bad. I don't endorse it any which way today. But one thing our parents did very well is they did not put us in a box. So there was always some instructions given on what not to do. What to do was never told. I think they did a great favor to us by telling us I think never telling us what to do. So we could become our own individuals. I think my parents did that very well. Both of them were rebellious in their own little way. So I think that came to us. We questioned a lot. It was always a question about why is something not possible. So if something was not possible, then I think we went ahead and like tried to do that. So for example, they said we can't play table tennis. What we did was, I think we took like, we could only play it on a table. We kind of took teapoys and like, I think we learned table tennis. And I could represent my school in table tennis.
Oh, wow.
So that kind of, I think something is not possible would always kind of trigger that energy in us. So that was good. I think like got a lot of beatings as any other younger sibling. School was very good. Thankfully I went to very, very good schools. So the school that I went to, Sri Vasvi Vidyapita, when I passed my 10th standard, they gave us a 10,000 plus rupees check. You know what they had done?
Wow.
All our admission fees, they had put it in, invested in a bond.
Oh.
And all that money was given to us when we went to college.
Oh my God. Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So not many schools can do that today. And we were struggling to pay the admission fee. So they never told this to us because probably people will ask for a discount if you say that we'll give it back. Then I went to National College, again, Dr. H. Narasimhaya. Every classroom, what was written was, don't agree without questioning. So in Canada, it was Prashni Sade Opabedi. So that again, I think, kind of tuned us into what I was growing up to be. Right? I was always that person, but Dr. HN made it even more, like it was valued at National College. Phenomenal professors. Most of my professors wrote textbooks.
Wow.
So we would read textbooks then, not guides. So like take botany, zoology, mathematics, physics, excellent series, expert series, which were the most phenomenal series at the time, was all written by my professors. So we had great education. Even somebody like me who was not so interested in mathematics would sit and listen to. And I famously scored 36% in my first PUC. So I was not interested in science. I wanted to be an archaeologist or somebody who did some history.
Okay.
So, but unfortunately, everybody who scored decent was put into science. Not much has changed, I believe, but at least at that point in time, everybody had to become a doctor or an engineer. Yeah. So first year was like, I did not like going to college. I scored like, I still remember, 236 out of 600.
Oh my God.
So that was like lowest of the lows. Then I think I took I think this was not, I was not such a student. Second PUC I studied hard. So I scored 85% in my second year.
Wow.
I got a decent CET ranking. I went into Siddhaganga Institute. The best thing that happened was all the institutions I studied had very strong values.
True.
I think that was extremely important in shaping me up. Otherwise I would probably have lost. So I could either go to KLE College or National College. So choosing National College was a game changer.
Correct.
Because everybody who came in there were middle class. They all wanted to kind of do well in
yes, I've heard a lot of very good stories of people from National College.
So Ramesh was from there, Rahul Dravid was from there, Anil Kumble was from there. So a lot of people. So put it in a simple lower middle class family. We did not get everything that we wanted. I think scarcity was enough. There was enough scarcity that I think we valued everything that we got. But in a way, we had everything. To be honest, there was nothing that came in the way of education. Fees was paid on time, most of the times. There were some times where we were standing outside the class. But overall, my parents did the best they could. They sent me to US to do my master's.
Wow.
My father's salary was around 14,000 when he kind of spent 3.5 lakhs on my educational loan.
Wow.
Because you have to pay 15% margin.
Correct.
And I had this condition that my brothers could not pay that money. So my father worked very hard. So everything that I asked for, I got it. Engineering was the only thing I did not want to do back then, but I ended up okay.
Being a brilliant computer science engineer after that.
I think that's on my resume. But yeah, I really loved my job, but we'll talk about it. But it was a time where I think our parents gave the time for us to build ourselves. So there was not a single time where they said, why are you not scoring as much marks as your brother?
Okay.
Which was a big thing. I never understood the value of that. Today, when I see, in retrospect, they did not compare me to anybody, that helped me become my own individual. And that is something that I would really, really pray and hope nobody does to their children. Yeah. So my parents did something very great. They never compared me to anybody else, not even till now. There was not a single time where they said, look at that person and study. So I don't even know. When I talk to many of my friends, they say like, that is unheard of. So that lack of comparison is what helped me to become my own individual. All of us siblings are our own individuals. When you look at us, I think you will not see anything in common. So I would hope and pray, every parent, I think today it is very rampant. I think please don't force your children to be like someone else. They are excellent the way they are. Help them become the best version of themselves, but please don't compare.
Wow. Fantastic. I think we're off to a great start. I think that's fantastic. Now we realize the values that all the education institutions have given you throughout your life, and that has sort of shaped the way that you value education. So, how was your journey just after? So, you decided to do a master's in the US. What did you do when you got there? How was the culture there different? And what did you do right after your master's program?
Yeah, getting into US was a big story because there was no money in the house. Going to US was like considered to be like, how can you even go and ask for a couple of lakhs when there is so much of financial stress in the family? My brother had just moved to UK. So we decided that I'll not go.
Okay.
Thankfully, my brother got a job in UK. Suddenly, he was earning in pounds.
Oh.
So that was the biggest reason why family could even think of it. So because my reasoning was not very strong. So I was like, all my friends were going, I would also go. Like any teenager at that point in time, I was it was not my passion. Okay. Everybody was going, so I would also go. But then I took my GRE very seriously. I worked very hard. Back then I was dating someone and I said, for 2 months, you cannot talk to me because I want to really sit and like focus on my GRE. So that was the focus. Good scores.
Okay.
I basically scored highest in my verbal.
Wow.
So which was quite shocking for a lot of my friends who went to good schools. Okay, good English schools. I had worked really hard. I think US really changed. I think the first 1 month I wanted to come back.
Okay.
Because the weather was not that great. I think it was cold. The food was not that great. So I was pampered by my mother. And suddenly I had to go there and I think, but within a month I caught hold of their education system. I thoroughly started enjoying. The first projects were given at the end of first month. The moment I was in front of the computer and started coding, everything was forgotten. So I would spend like 13-14 hours straight sitting and coding.
Wow.
So the first year assignment was we had to build a networking system for a town. We had to come up with a wireless routing algorithm.
Okay.
And we had to design a small little software system. I was so happy. All through engineering, we had done some very small projects. Our networking project was you broadcast a message to 5 computers. That's 5 hours of coding. But here, that changed my view on education because projects were given 60-70% of the grades, 50% at least.
True.
So I started scoring well. I think the collaboration in the classroom, like the way, first of all, I think calling your professor by name eased a lot of pressure. And professors were so happy when we proved them wrong.
Oh.
I had not seen it. There was this professor called Dr. Ravi Prakash who did his PhD in Ohio State University.
Okay.
The man would always have a poker face. Only when he proved him wrong, he would smile. So seeing him smile was like, oh, we had done a good job. The day we saw him smile, the entire class would be like, oh, we are worth sitting in his class. So every professor was great. I went to University of Texas at Dallas. So I took tough courses. So I took very tough courses because we had spent a lot of money. Yeah, I did not take an off-campus job. See, the mathematics was very simple. If I do an off-campus job, they'll pay me $5 an hour. And in that 1 hour, I think I can learn a lot. So my learning and the entire 1.5 years, the off-campus job will pay you probably 500 into 18, right? I think roughly
$9,000.
$9,000. That $9,000 you learn in first 3 months of your pay. So there was no point losing good time doing off-campus job. I did only one off-campus job. That was because I needed money for my Sun certification. I became a Sun certified Java programmer in 2005. Then I had to do another course for which I worked in a motel.
Okay.
Those are the only two. And I did it for the experience. I wanted to understand how that world looks like. Otherwise, I was always in the lab. So you could come to the 3rd floor lab, you would always find DJ. And I did all my projects early.
Oh.
That gave me an advantage to help others in their projects. So while helping others, I think my projects became even better. So I never scored less than 90% in any of my projects.
Wow.
My theory was not that great. I could have done better. So by the time I finished my master's, I think I already had done an internship in a New York startup company for 8 months. And that story was also very interesting for me because I got an internship in Dallas, paying me $15 an hour. Then I got an internship in New York, which was paying me $6.50 per hour.
Oh.
So in Dallas, I could walk to the office and I would make like $2,000, $2,500 a month. In New York, I would make $1,040. So when I chose the New York internship, I think everybody was like, what nonsense is this? Why would somebody do that? Because I was staying in a studio apartment with 8 people.
Oh.
That whole apartment would smell weed.
Oh.
That's how bad that apartment was. I could still feel the smell. That's how bad it was. So we had suitcases on one side, 8 people, we would have sleeping bags on the other side.
Oh my God.
Right? So we stayed in a place like that, and I had to commute 2 hours every day. And it was in a place where the goods train would go, a 45-minute stop.
Oh.
If somebody killed you, I think like nobody would know. And it was like -10. I would not have snowshoes. Sometimes I think the snow would get into the sneakers. It's a very painful experience. But that kind of, I think, all that struggle was very, very important. But the work was fantastic. I was one of the only developers in a startup company. So I was working with some wholesalers. I would talk to the customer. The customer was sitting next to me. The customer centricity, I learned it in my first internship. I was fixing a printer. I was mopping the floors. I never looked at it as like not my work. And thankfully, when I came back, I was a much better, I was ready for a much better job than many of my colleagues. Then I again worked in a law firm. In that law firm, I think the manager did not treat me with a lot of dignity. I think my monitor was like here, and his office, I think he could look at my monitor.
Oh.
And for me, that did not go well with the values that I had. So I was the only student in my university who left an internship. Nobody had left an internship. Then thankfully that gave me an internship in Ericsson. So by the time I finished my education, I was a good coder. My fundamentals were stronger. I had good 1-year experience in these companies. So the dream of getting into Microsoft is how I graduated my master's with. So from somebody who was like struggling to crack Shakuntala Devi's puzzles to enter into Infosys. So in 1.5 years, I think I was like aspiring to be a developer at Microsoft.
Wow.
And that is the contribution of that education system too.
Correct. Wow. Oof. So I think we can understand the key role that education has played, and project-based education, learning practically is something that's really important, and I think that is what has played a very key role in your life.
And they had like, see, the thing is the professors were so accommodative, right? I'm not comparing anything to anything. There were office hours. If you did not understand in the class, you could go to office hours. They would sit for any amount of time.
Correct.
To kind of, I think, because most of them would be doing enormous amount of research themselves.
Exactly.
Despite that, when a student went with a clarification, that became their first priority. So for me, that, values that the faculty had, it encourages you to do more. You're getting so much of opportunities, and why would you not work hard? Simple. Yeah. Because what I had learned here, I was not very happy with my projects. Because it was getting over in like no time.
Correct.
Right? 2-3 days, I think, done. So what can we do? So there, I think it was not getting over.
Yeah. I think very similar case with me. I have always just loved working on projects, and I spent so much more time with computer science outside the classroom, just building things with my friends.
But that wouldn't happen if you went there, because they would strengthen your fundamentals, which is very important.
True.
Because the value of fundamentals, you will only know a little later in your... So for all the people, right, I think the crowd is probably 17 to 19, right?
Yes.
There are some subjects which might look very dry, but if some good professor tells you to read it, please study it. Because there are certain things that I missed. For example, compiler design is something that I did not study well.
100% same.
Yeah, please don't do it. Please don't do it. Tomorrow, it will be of great value. Because when I was working with engineers at Microsoft, they would have complicated mathematical formulas to explain a concept. I wouldn't know anything. So then I was like, I should have studied those fundamentals. Yes, they were dry, they were boring, but they're useful. So please read compiler design. It's a great subject. It's one of the greatest inventions of computer science. Please read compiler design.
Okay, so now, I mean, then there's a major transition in your life, right? So you were extremely good at computer programming, and you shifted from being a developer to being a program manager. So lots of interesting stories there on companies that you worked with. You even filed for a patent and received a patent.
Yes.
And have done extensive work in cyber security, lots of very interesting domains in computer science. So what was your journey over there?
Yeah. So this is, if I understand, I think this is the journey from beginning at Ericsson to Microsoft, right?
Yes.
So Ericsson was a very interesting exercise because I was had a Sun certified program. What is it? Certification.
Sun
Cert-
Microsystems.
Sun Microsystems Java certification.
Okay.
That was a big thing
Okay.
back then. So somebody hired me because of that,
Okay.
and also a little bit of my experience. Ericsson was a very chilled out company, so I could go and work 4 or 5 hours a day, and I think work was done. But even there, I did not sit quiet. So what happened was we had a very, I think wherever I went, I think thankfully some good opportunities came. Ericsson was wanted to acquire a company,
Oh.
and they missed it by a whisker.
Okay.
Now that company was acquired by a competitor. So we had to work with this company very closely. Once the acquisition fell through, they started giving us cold shoulders.
Oh.
So a lot of work had to be done by us. So not many people wanted to touch it because it was a process heavy organization. So if it did some change in the code, nobody was willing to support it.
Okay.
So there, Sony Pictures for the first time, for a lot of people seeing this, it will be a joke. Sony Pictures was for the first time in 2006 wanted to give trailers on your mobile phone. That was a very big deal in 2006. Very big deal. You might think of it as a joke, but trailers on mobile phone was innovation at some point in time. So what these people had done was they had written code for it, but they had not exposed it to us.
Okay.
So we cracked that code.
Wow.
Then we delivered it to Sony Pictures, and it was all a big hit.
Okay.
But then the process did not let me. Like somebody has to support it, right? They said if the code is changed by somebody who is not from the company that we were supposed to acquire, we will not support it. For a month, it was very difficult. But then we did this. Then even today, I think when you press restaurants near me, I think it is so easy, right?
Correct.
It was also not there back then.
Oh.
The technology of global mobile positioning was also very new.
Correct. GPS.
Yeah, it was called GMPS,
Okay.
Global Mobile Positioning System. Ericsson had built new hardware.
Oh.
So we had to build a proof of concept for it. So all the projects that came my way were like very, very innovative. So I learned all of those, but Ericsson was not challenging enough for me. So then I gave a Microsoft interview and I got into Microsoft.
Wow.
That journey was great. Microsoft 10 years. Initially I started as a SDET. It is, they call it QA. Roles really do not matter. Whatever role comes your way, if you are solving a problem, take it. There is no elitism in between SDET, SDE, product manager, nothing. It's all a job. You can solve a problem, take it. I took that challenge and I had to support 7 developers. And I knew I couldn't test 7 developers' code. So I started writing tools for all of them.
Okay.
They were all very happy. I had to make their life easier. So then 3 years from then, they asked, do you want to be a developer? I said yes. Then I was writing code. My product manager fell sick.
Oh.
Took a long leave of 1 year. Then I managed the project. They said, do you want to be a product manager? I said, okay. Then again I continued. That's where these patents happened.
Wow.
But believe me, when I was an SDET, when I was an SDE, when I was a product manager, except for a small change in my mindset, I was the same person. I wanted to solve a problem. The roles really did not matter to me. I think today the roles are extremely, there are strong boundaries.
True.
I would really suggest break the boundaries. So by the time I was kind of doing product management at Microsoft, there was a very interesting thought in my head. What if somebody inside Microsoft goes and destroys all the data? So it was a very weird thought. I was like, it's code. What if somebody can go and just...
Very much possible to do.
It is possible.
Yeah.
It is possible in any center.
Yeah.
I was considered like, why would anybody do it? I was like, let's say if I do it, because I didn't want to name anyone else. I said, if I do it, and if I run away to India in some random village, good luck finding me. You have lost all your data, right? See, it's a very important problem that I think clouds will have to consider. Somebody with access to code can go and destroy everything.
Yeah.
And what is the loss in revenue? 20 billion, 30 billion,
yeah.
the entire company will go down, right? So I can't share all the secrets because it's a trade secret for Microsoft, but we built a solution which saved us from 99% of the attacks.
Okay. Wow.
Built something inside the operating system.
Wow.
Phenomenal journey. Again, I had to go and talk to these great people. there was this person called Daniel Christiansen. He had worked from a 5.2-inch floppy to an SSD. There was Karan Sharma who had 120 patents himself. But the greatness of people at Microsoft, culture building, you go and talk to anybody at any level, they would sit and talk to you.
Wow.
There was never like you're an intern, you're a CTO. I have to bring up the name of this person called, oh my God, how can I forget his name? He was a CTO, Mark Russinovich. He also has written a novel. He was the CTO of Azure.
Correct.
He ended up finding this project that I was doing. He got interested. He called us for a demo.
Oh.
Then he gave me like 2 hours of time, of his personal time to mentor.
Wow.
So this, somewhere I think, again, the levels, right? He's a CTO, he's a CVP. All that wouldn't matter, right? All of us are working as peers. So that culture, Microsoft was like a great place for me to learn that culture. I think that is a principle that I even bring into my NGO now. So that's why I don't call myself a founder. I'm a volunteer, everybody is a volunteer, we're all peers. So then I had to leave India. I think this whole foundation started. My professional journey in US ended in 2017.
Okay.
This is where I think I decided how to move back to India. Then it continued in India. Thankfully, I've been blessed to have worked at great companies. So Microsoft transition was HackerRank. Again run by Vivek and Hari. They have given so much emphasis on culture.
Correct.
So much emphasis on culture. Again, then I moved to Interview Kickstart. Soham, again a great founder. Then I worked at Kalvium. Not a single company I have worked at had bad culture, which is a big blessing. For 18 years, you end up working in good culture companies. You are lucky.
I think we had one series with the co-founder of Chumbak. Chumbak is this design brand
Yeah,
that
I
makes
know
lots
Chumbak,
of right. And he said, Vivek Prabhakar is his name, and he said the most important thing for their company is culture.
For any company.
Yes.
Yeah.
So fundamentally strong culture builds the great
Of course, right.
company.
Yeah. I wouldn't talk about these companies for so long.
Correct.
Otherwise, Microsoft especially places so much emphasis. Everybody should work there. Especially, I feel Microsoft is a great place to learn culture.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I think you've had a very strong emphasis on practical learning and like a keen interest to problem solving. Like you want to break things, you want to build things, and that's very exciting. And at the same time, program management started because you're working with more and more people, teams started getting larger. So how did your interest in social enterprise or coming back to India and thinking, hey, I want to do something with education start? So what was that like?
So I think it comes to my family. So I think we were like any other typical Indian family at that time. In our family, all the boys got opportunities to study. Very few boys studied. And that's a curse. Most of the girls in my family were really, really gifted. But most of them were married off before they could even like pass their 12th standards. So in front of my eyes, I could see, because they were all studying with me, they were doing much better than me.
Okay.
Suddenly, I think like age happens and I think it gets cut.
True.
And the kind of lives they led after that were so below average. People with such great potential were living such below average lives. So it was always troubling. So one of my cousins wanted to become a lawyer. She scored 64% in second year.
Okay.
She was married off, and the conditions in her family was not good. So she committed suicide.
Oh my God.
So I was 18 at the time. That had a very profound impact. For some reason, I think I did not cry during that time. Somewhere that pain, somewhere I think I still feel that. I'm glad I think I didn't cry. I feel because that has kind of internalized into a lot of things. She was one of my biggest inspirations.
Okay.
Seeing her die because she was not allowed to study and was forced to marriage, that was the biggest catalyst. So then I think I was waiting for my time to kind of do something. So right after I finished my master's, I started venturing into something or the other to help people, because I had seen the impact of my parents, how they came to Bangalore with 350 rupees, and all of us studied well.
Wow.
And we did okay. We did better than okay.
Phenomenally good.
Better than okay. So I really wanted that to kind of go to my extended family. I'm also a firm believer that you should first get your families a stand-up. Your extended family stand-up. Then you could go to social service. So that was the trigger. But what got me very excited is the opportunity I got in Palamner. The scale the kind of scale was amazing, which
Correct.
we can definitely talk about later. See, it's just that I think a lot of girls, 80% of the women today, I think, who are capable don't participate in our economy.
True.
So we have lost enormous. See, just think about it, right? 80% of them come into the
Exactly.
right. Then the economy definitely is going to be like 7-8 trillion. That 4 trillion, whatever government is trying to do, will automatically climb up. So that kept on. I think the story is right. All my cousins at 17, my cousin had 2 kids.
Oh my God.
Who has 2 kids at 17? Right. My daughter is 13 now. It's very unfair. Some of my cousins were married off at 14. Yeah. So, and their logic was also very stupid, right? Because we were poor, that's why we got you married off. What was the marriage cost? 1 lakh rupees. What was the education cost? 5,000-6,000. So it never made sense to me. But I think again, then it was like you couldn't question your elders, you couldn't say things to them, all of this. So what happened in my family was good enough inspiration for me to invest in this field.
Okay. Wow. Oof.
But this is the story of any family, right? I think even today that is the case. What percentage do you think today doesn't finish education because of forced marriages, or they don't work? What is the percentage of Indian women who don't get into workforce because of forced marriages?
I'd say 50%.
80%.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's staggering. Why do you not see so many women in the workplace? It's very clear.
Correct.
You
and
really,
it's always girls who outperform boys in every state level examination,
Yes.
10th exam, 12th
Yes.
exam,
yeah.
throughout school.
It
Right?
hasn't improved. Believe me, it hasn't improved. What we see is a very, very minor, if we can tackle that, I think we can really, really go forward.
Wow.
80%, and I'm very considerate. It might be more also.
So this was sort of the seed behind joining the Dots Foundation.
Yes.
So why pick Palamner, which is like a rural area in Andhra Pradesh? I think you should definitely look up where Palamner is and look up more about joining the Dots Foundation. But why pick this particular area, and why? Understanding more about the cause that you are working for.
Can I give a bit of a backstory?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So my first attempt was helping an orphanage. Later I got to know that orphanage got for 37 kids it got around 40 lakh rupees funding.
Oh.
And the orphanage was kept in a very dire kind of an environment. So I lost that, I thought everybody who was doing social service is doing it for the right reasons. My belief was broken. Then I tried starting something in my village. In 2011, we set up a computer learning center. We did not have fiber internet. We laid down the cable on our own for 1 kilometer.
Oh.
We had a Apple iPad, Chromebook, we had Microsoft Surface, we had Amazon Kindle, all kind of devices. I shipped everything from US. We had computers, we had Wi-Fi in our village in 2011.
Wow.
Our village had Wi-Fi, at least for 30-40% of.
Where the village?
Malur. Yeah. Wi-Fi was unheard of at that time, right? Then what happened was 75% of the village voted for a particular political party. I would not name which. B voted, means 25% of the village voted for B political party.
Okay.
That year, political party B won.
Oh.
So then everybody who voted for A said we will not come to the center.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I pleaded for 6 months. Nobody would. They wouldn't send their children.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. These are the practical limitations, right? If somebody is thinking it is not very easy. So then I think we had to dismantle everything and take it away.
Oh.
Yeah. So then we tried to work with another NGO, big NGO. They asked us to buy some 2 lakhs worth of material, and it took them 8 months to even give training.
Okay.
But they did not. For 8 months, they kept on making us book tickets. I got really, really irritated. I said, the lessons learned were, don't do anything in your place. Do something outside. Have a big scale, because if something fails, something else will be available. Have something where you have autonomy. You don't depend on anyone. These 3 lessons, that's what was a Kickstarter for JTD.
Okay.
Joining the Dots Foundation. How we chose Palamner was also another story. So I was talking to a person. We had moved to a new apartment complex. I was talking to my neighbor. My neighbor's uncle was a headmaster.
Oh.
He was known as the headmaster without a vehicle.
Okay.
So he had worked in education department for 20 years, and was not able to afford a vehicle because he had spent 60-70% of his salary on educating poor students.
Wow.
So I found this person and instantly we kind of hit it off. I felt like talking to him all the time. So what started off as like, I'll sponsor 5 students. Today has gone into like quite a big scale, but it was that man, Mr. Uma Maheshwar Reddy, who got me into Palamner.
So I think now we'd like to know more about the initiatives in Joining the Dots Foundation, right? Because it's what really inspires me about this organization is it's not only focus on very typical education, saying, hey, we're going to provide fundamentally good math and science. It is, we want to empower sports people, we want to get people to join the army, we want to get our students to do well in music. So, and there are initiatives and there are programs laid out for each of these,
Correct.
which is truly inspiring. So, it fundamentally tackles the belief that there is a linear path to doing well and you should only do, there is XYZ that you have to follow to do well in the education sector, right? So, it's holistic development and it's very fundamentally designed like that.
Correct.
So, can you tell us a little bit more about each of these initiatives in JTD?
So our initiatives at this point, I think we have 7 or 8 initiatives. I'll probably go give a bird eye view of everything. We can go deeper as you would like. So Joining the Bits is an initiative which is very computer science driven. At the end of the day, the goal is very simple. Build strong computer scientists. I am not interested in software developers. There are in plenty. We want computer scientists. So you can enroll into our program when you are in 10th standard, when you are doing your intermediate education or your degree, ending your degree education. If you start early, you have a linear path.
Okay.
If you start late, you'll have to come back and finish all the fundamentals. I'm not going to let you go until you have learnt things properly. I don't want you to go into the industry with, I think you're fighting a war, wear a bulletproof jacket and go. So far I think we have helped around more than 50 girls to become software developers.
Wow.
So right now we have a model where I think we will hit 5,000 in the next 10 years. I think it is a lot of hard work, but we will do it. We have a model now which works. That took a lot of time. But we are also building our own little college. So where
wow, that's amazing.
Yes, yeah, we are also building our own college where the syllabus is ours.
Oh.
Just 2 days ago, Stanford PhD grad agreed to help us come up with the syllabus.
Wow.
I'm very excited, extremely excited for it. Somebody working in Google for the last 10 years is helping us. So we will do a very good course. I think in a way, I think that will become a case study for good computer science education. Whatever I have learnt in US. So Joining the Bits is all about anybody who wants to become a good computer scientist will not be deterred because of lack of money or guidance.
Okay.
Yeah. See, because just look at the numbers, right?
Yeah.
What is the number of people I think who are missing the opportunity today? The top 10% I think will do a great job.
Correct.
So Joining the Bits is all about that. SFG, Sports for Girls, is an initiative where we want to nurture 100 people, 100 girls to become career sportswomen. Like proper career as sportswomen. Somebody like Manu Bakar or like, or Shrija Akula, these kind of people. That is sports is a very expensive proposition. We'll talk about it. Sports is probably 10 times costlier than education. We'll talk about that.
And the chances of success are much lower, right? It's very hard.
But sports is a phenomenal opportunity for gender equality. The day next to a boys volleyball net, there is a girls volleyball net, right? And the girls are wearing shorts and playing volleyball in a village. That will bring a lot of equality.
Wow.
A lot of people are doing that, but yes, that is, sports builds confidence. Sports helps people face failures. True. A lot of our girls, they're extremely kind of controlled by their parents. Then military training, because today a lot of people who want to join forces, I think they don't have good places.
Correct.
For example, the Byju's or unacademies do not have sports. They have NDA courses, but if somebody wants to be a soldier, how do they get in there?
Yeah, I've actually never heard of a course for military training. Yeah.
You know what is the biggest deterring factor for someone in South India to become a soldier? Not knowing Hindi. When they go to exams, the instructions are given in Hindi.
Oh.
Many of our people, they say, aage jao.
Oh.
They wouldn't understand. And then they don't know, and suddenly everybody has
Dai mud, bai mud,
all of it, right?
Savdhan.
Yes.
All in Hindi.
Yes.
Correct.
Joining the atoms is to build, help 100 people become scientists in the next 10 years. that program is most difficult program because it's very difficult to convince someone to become a scientist. Scientists work as hard as doctors for 1/3 of their pay. It's not good enough, right? Environment, we want to make sure there are 1 million trees in the next 10 years. So we are doing a lot of, a lot of innovation is happening to get those saplings up. We are distributing it to students and a lot of it. We will probably dig into it. Healthcare is where I think what keeps me up in the night is healthcare. Because today, we do not have enough money to take care of all the health issues of our people. Our budget is tiny. And even today, I think a lot of kids, they kind of cannot afford quality healthcare, and I think that leads to fatalities too. Okay. So these are various initiatives that we have. And the last initiative is, there is something called Joining the Saptaswaras.
Okay.
It is for, I've always believed any Indian social enterprise should have a cultural base of India and build on top of it. Because there is a lot of it, I think today we cannot consume. Right? For example, even Mahabharata is not something that you read as a retired employee. You have to read it as a teenager.
Correct.
Right? There are a lot of lessons. There are a lot of lessons for us. But then I think you don't read it because it is not widely available. And it is not like you have to read it in Sanskrit. There are many contemporary stuff also. So these are multiple initiatives that we have: education, sports, healthcare, environment, and military training.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. I think just our previous guest, Nikhil Vaidyanathan from Open Music School, right? I'm definitely going to make both of you meet each other. So he has this larger initiative that he wants to do with music, where he wants to provide access to music to a much larger population. So I think there are lots of room for collaboration there.
No, definitely. Today there is no possibility of any rural child learning music. Teachers are not available.
True.
Even if you want to spend money,
correct.
Teachers are all segregated in metropolitans.
Oh, okay.
If you go to a tier 2 city, even the richest cannot get music classes done.
Even Open Grad Foundation, Sahil and Shahid we interviewed, they help, they have a great mentorship model for education for students to prepare for entrance exams, competitive exams. So I'm already seeing lots of room for collaboration and lots of...
Sure, please. Means we are joining the dots.
Yes.
So please join as many as possible.
Wow, joining hands with joining the dots. That's fantastic. So I think a recent story that's we were just discussing this while we were coming here, right? Was the Nikhil Kamath Foundation donating 1 crore rupees to Joining the Dots Foundation. And so if you haven't watched this, so Nikhil Kamath has this podcast that he conducts, and I think episode 9 was when he had venture capitalists around him, and they were talking about what venture capital is. You should definitely, it's actually in the recommended list for this course. Okay. The podcast is on the...
Oh, fantastic. Please watch it. Yeah.
Yes. So then after talking about venture capital, how it works, how the ecosystem works, they raise money for charity, or they generally donate to a common cause. And in that particular episode, they said, hey, let the audience pick whom we donate to, right? And in the comments of the video, Joining the Dots Foundation was mentioned. So I think just before they shot this podcast, on an Instagram post, they had asked for recommendations for foundations, and Joining the Dots Foundation was mentioned there. And there was a public vote on who should get this funding. And for what I heard from the story, it was an insane exercise to make sure that JTD gets the maximum votes. I'd like to ask you the whole story.
I think it was fantastic. Like when the poll happened, right? I think it's great that Nikhil Kamath is doing what he's doing. Very grateful. Today I'm sitting here because Nikhil decided to have a podcast that took us to another orbit. When the invitation came to us that we were one of the participants, we were like, how the hell are we going to do it? It was not possible at all. But then it became real. We were in a meeting and the poll had begun.
Oh.
At that point we said, hey, let's give in everything. So none of us had probably 1% confidence that we are going to win. But the thing is, if an opportunity has come, you have to use it to the fullest.
Correct.
Right? We should not have the regret that we did not give our 100%. So that day, the poll started. We started talking to everybody that we knew. The next day, the poll ended.
Oh.
When the poll ended, all of my friends started telling me it was a scam.
Oh.
But I knew, I had watched the podcast and everything. So Nikhil and Nitin, I think you know their reputation.
Yes.
They will not do anything which
Yes.
will be a scam. So I kept on telling people that no, it is not a scam. And their volunteer Vivek Kamath, I think their employee Vivek Kamath, he kept on telling us it is going to restart. You know what helped us in the win the podcast? When this poll stopped, the Instagram voting, the poll had died, but the Instagram voting had not died.
Oh.
So we had like this 5 or 6 days inactive poll. We went to colleges and made most of the college students vote on Instagram.
Oh.
Little did we know that will be the winning factor for us. What happened was when the poll restarted, a notification went to everybody who had voted before on Instagram.
Oh.
In 1 hour, we had 2,500 votes. So suddenly that gave us that advantage where everybody else was like, hey, they have a strategy. There was no strategy, it was brute force. But then we worked very hard. I'll just tell you the number of places we have gone to. Rameshwaram Cafe, MTR, Vidyarthi Bhavan, Lal Bagh, Kaban Park, Vidhan Sauda. In Palamner, it was a Ganesha festival time. We have gone to at least 100 Ganesha pandals. We have gone to every school. Like for that 15 days, we slept like for 2 or 3 hours.
Whoa.
So every day we would have a stand-up. Instructions will be given. These are the things we are targeting. Finally, 2 hours before the ending of poll, Saintries. I have a lot of respect for the work they do. I think you should really look it up. They're doing some tremendous work.
Okay.
I still feel they should have gotten the money, but because they are really doing better work. They began their game.
Okay.
In 7 minutes, they had 1,000 votes.
Oh my God.
11:25, my heart stopped for a minute. I said, if they are doing 7 minutes, 1,000 votes, there is no way we'll withstand because we had no strategy. All our tricks were like done.
Oh.
So we were thinking that we had already won. But then that climax moment was good. But we did not give up. I think everybody was speculating. I think I just said, just go and do your job. This is the best we could have done. We have done it. If we lose it, we lose it. But when that last 10 seconds happened, it was like a cricket match, finals, World Cup finals. Our teachers started running from one place to another, catching hold of villagers. At least 1,000 people have worked on the poll.
Whoa.
So we got around 15,400 votes.
Oh my God.
To be honest, that is probably the number of votes that will win you an election in a small constituency.
True.
So getting that votes, no, it takes, see, just imagine how much
Incredibly
work.
hard, yeah.
Yes. So I have written a blog. I think, I don't know if that link can be posted.
Yes, we can
I've
do
written
that.
an account by account. So we went
Okay.
to Tirupati. So there people shooed us off.
Oh.
We have come to see God, and I think, why are you holding these votes? So there is a temple called Vinayaka temple in Kanipakam, very famous. Our volunteers went and posted that QR code. They gave some money to the parrot astrologer. they posted it on his thing. So we had done everything. So finally we were like, we will give you a cup of tea if you vote for us.
Oh.
Then we thought, I think that is not ethical. So we did not do it. But thankfully, then we had a countdown, 10, 9, 8.
Wow.
And we thought the money will take like 6 months. Money came in 6 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they were so efficient.
Wow.
No questions asked, unrestricted funding. All the money was in our account in 6 days. So very professionally done.
Wow. Brilliant. What did you go and tell? So you saw people in Lal Bagh. What did you tell them? I think
it's very uncomfortable.
Yes.
Because we look like scamsters.
yes.
So in fact, one of my nephews, I think somebody was drunk. He went and asked for a vote. He kind of came behind them. So I have seen everything. People have shooed us away. They have looked at us as scamsters. But I think, see, that's entrepreneur, right? Canva took like 2,000 rejections before she got funded.
Yes.
So it is what it takes.
Correct.
See, the thing is, it's not a glamorous. It's not as glamorous as it looks on the podcast. Behind the scenes, it is as messy as what I'm talking about.
Yes.
You have to go there. We went to Lal Bagh. The last day we thought we go to Lal Bagh and we'll get 1,000 votes. We got 4.
How come? Why? What happened?
People were like, I think, why are you coming and disturbing us during the walk? So they were asked to go away. Thursday, then finally someone said, go to Sai Baba temple. Thursday, Sai Baba temple, good connection. We got a couple of 100 votes. So a lot of micro strategies. One of my volunteers said, I will go to my village. Something was not working. The execution was great. People failed fast. took a step to get back
Wow.
on track. So we got 40% of the total votes. Okay. And
Oh my
finally,
God.
when we won, I think one of the question asked by the team was, "Did you rig it?" I said, "We would rather shut down than rig it." Right? Because that is the last thing that we would anyway want to do.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't want to build an organization on top of a bunch of lies. Yeah. But yeah, when we got the money, we were like super happy. It was a lot of money. Now, I think we can handle 10 times that money. Yeah.
So if you haven't watched this, one is watch the venture capital episode on the Nikhil Kamath podcast, but there is also like a 10-11 minute video of their team visiting Palomnair and visiting joining the Dots Foundation, and I mean covering a lot of good work that the foundation is doing.
Yeah,
And I
Bilal
think
was like very, I think he was like, "I want 10-minute content." But then we kind of kept him occupied from morning 8 to night 10. And he had, and thanks to him, he had to go and watch India, in Bombay there was semi-finals match happening that time.
Oh, okay.
So he basically stayed overnight, like late in the night, then took a flight.
Oh,
Yeah, he came all the way from Mumbai to shoot this because we were inaugurating the park on November 14th,
Okay.
Children's Day.
okay.
He was overwhelmed, and I think phenomenal people. I think the entire team, right? Meghna, Vivek, Bilal. I think they are very nice people.
Wow, fantastic. So, I mean, this is an amazing story. I did not know that there was so much that went into.
Just think about it, right? For anything, 15,400 people pressing a button takes an effort. Even, right? I think anywhere for that matter, it wouldn't come to you for free.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, I think one of the traits of being entrepreneurial is getting out of the building.
Yes.
This is what we keep saying.
Yes.
You have to get out of the building. You have to speak to customers. You have to know what people like, what they dislike, and rejection is such an integral part of this.
Rejection is probably 70% of the time you are getting facing rejections until you kind of get to a place where somebody wants to come and invest.
True.
But that's what it takes. No company like got investment just like that. Maybe a few. But every time they reject, I think you understand there is something that is not working
Correct.
with what you have. That's it. It's not a big deal. Yeah.
Correct. Wow. So I think I've heard a lot of very interesting stories of students who've benefited from JTD. One I just heard now is wanting to pursue a PhD in astrophysics and comes from a very humble background. Some are doing very well in the healthcare sector, some very well in software. Can you tell us some interesting stories of students?
Definitely. So one of my most, I think favorite students is Mani. So Mani lost his father when he was 3 years old.
Okay.
Mani could not walk when he was in 7th standard. His
Okay.
teacher, Mr. Balsundaram, took him to school for 2 years. He fought all odds and ended up going to Regional Institute of Education, Mysore.
Okay.
There he developed an interest for science. So when I was coming back from US, I had gotten 5 telescopes.
Oh.
Handed over 1 telescope to him and he got glued to it.
Wow.
Later, I think, the transformation was amazing. Suddenly there was a boy who was like not so interested in higher education, wanted to do a PhD.
Wow.
Today, if you sit with him, he can sit and talk about space for like 10 hours straight without getting tired. No water, no food, nothing. And he has done a phenomenal job. He worked in Navodaya Vidyalaya,
Okay.
where the students call him all the time.
Okay.
He would be one of the most sought after scientists. And I'm not, I think my intuition is very strong there, in probably next 10 years. So right now he has already gotten admission. 3 universities in UK have given him admission.
Wow.
But the funds, I think, it's very costly. So
Yeah.
we're waiting for the best opportunity. I'm very sure he'll get it. I think he's also writing net exams. But what's great about Mani is, despite all the adversity, he never complained. He never complained. Till now, I think there is always a smile on his face. Of course, I gave him a hard time. I gave him a very hard time because it took some effort for him to realize his potential. He was throwing it away. So that took me some effort. But today he has passed MSc, like he's probably 5th or 6th in his college.
Okay.
PhD, he'll definitely do it. Because every day he sits and studies like 12 to 14 hours a day.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's very hardworking. Now he's sitting in Delhi. I have to thank 2 people. One, Mr. Ravi Chakrapani, who gave him a stipend of 3,000 rupees for 2 years. And Mr. Suresh Andamalai, who is currently funding his stay in Delhi.
Okay.
So every time something had needed help, I think somebody has come forward. Another student of mine, Saumita, 3 years ago, her father was admitted in a hospital in Tirupati. And she called me saying that I don't have money for tea. Her grandparents, her brother, mother, father was supposed to be put in ICU. And they said, until you pay money, we can't put you in the ICU. UPI was down that day. Unfortunately, it was the beginning of UPI. It was not as reliable as today. We took a car and we went all the way from here to Tirupati, carrying the cash. And when we said that, I think we took a picture of the cash and sent it to them. It is coming, and then they put them in the ICU. Last year, the same person had a problem. With her company insurance, she took him to Narayana Healthcare. And she stayed in an Airbnb. So that has been the change. I think she makes pretty good money now. From somebody who did not have 10 rupees to somebody kind of taking her father to a super specialty hospital and staying at Airbnb.
Wow.
That has been a big change. I think these are the stories that kind of make you...
I have goosebumps.
Oh, there are like, 50, like many stories. I think I had all the time to talk about it. See, the biggest benefit is not money. The biggest thing is our girls telling their parents that I will choose the person I want to get married. That is the biggest empowerment. See, anybody can become a software developer. But the kind of empowerment it gives to them is the biggest win. And you cannot put a number. If a girl gets educated, if a girl gets empowered, her sisters, her immediate family, extended family, one girl definitely will make a difference in 100 girls' lives. And their kids will also end up becoming good kids. They'll not become somebody who will sit here, wait for food to come on the plate. They'll get up and like put it, wash it. All of this will happen. Another story is somebody who had pretty much decided to get married. And today she is calling shots at home. She got a bike for her father just a couple of months ago.
Oh, wow.
So many stories like this. Most of the girls, oh, by the way, last year, 15 girls stayed at my house.
Oh.
Yeah. Their education happened in my house. So we had 4 bedrooms. So I kept 1 bedroom and gave away 3 bedrooms to them. It was the best times of my life. So we got a chance to kind of mentor them. And they trusted us. See, just imagine, right? Village, they're so conservative. They ended up like having their children for 1 year in someone else's place. So the stories are endless. I can keep going on and on and on. There is a housemaid. His son is now a designer. There is software engineers are quite many. There is one person I think who is pretty much decided to give up his life. Today is making like 12 lakhs per annum.
Wow.
So there are like many stories like this.
Wow.
So whenever I think we feel like ending it, which every entrepreneur will feel it many times, you just go and look at these stories. And you're like, okay, it's worth it, right? Just get up and start doing your work.
Wow, that's amazing.
And in sports, 2 of our girls have already played for the state.
Wow.
At this forum, I think I'm very confident in saying that in the next 5 years, one of our students will play for India. Our cricket pipeline is very good, very, very good. We have built a net training facility. We have also given them a bowling machine.
Wow.
Yeah. So we'll do very well in sports. Sports is something that I'm very, very passionate about.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So the stories will go on and on, Pradyun. I think it's never ending. I'll probably write a book.
Yes.
That's probably a better justice to all
I'll be the first
stories.
person
Thank you.
to buy.
Yeah. And the light, and when we go to their houses, that's what makes the difference. Suddenly there is a washing machine, there is a double door fridge, there is a bike. Some people have even bought cars.
Wow.
Yeah. And somebody who probably was at like lower strata, and this empowerment in like couple of years. And just imagine where will they end up.
So can you tell us a little bit more in terms of numbers? What are the programs that you run about JTD? What is your plan in the future?
Sure. See, the thing is, just take joining the bits, right? Even if you target government colleges in Andhra Pradesh, 169 government colleges.
Okay.
Every college will have at least 5 to 10 people who are capable of getting to the highest levels.
Correct.
Just take 5 people. It's 1,000.
Correct.
Close to 1,000. If these 1,000 people are people who can get into the top tier companies, what if they are guided and we give all of these people laptops and we run our courses. But if 1,000 people get the best guidance, best resources, they will develop their colleges to the next level, right? 1,000 people just in one state. Sports is another thing. 4,500 government schools. I'm only talking about government schools, which is like probably 1/3 of the whole schooling system. 4,500 schools, at least 500 schools have sports teachers who are so passionate. Even if 2 people come out of every school who can play at the highest levels, it's 1,000 people. But you know, another staggering number, it will cost at least 20 lakh rupees to nurture a sportswoman.
Wow.
Diet is very expensive. They have to stay in the hostel. It's very expensive.
Wow.
We have a pipeline of 30 cricketing, geniuses, and it will cost us around 6 crores
Oh my God.
to fund them. So sports is not, if you're getting into sports, it's a lot of money. You cannot do this with donations. You have to go into the investment lines. So which is something that we are exploring right now. So sports is a major opportunity. 35 sports, even if you end up selecting 2 students from every school, and if you can spend this money, believe me, your Olympic medals will change in 5 years. At the top class, the facilities are there.
Correct.
Bottom level, we don't have the infra. So that is where I think the money has to be pumped in. And probably environment, right?
Yeah.
If every school child plants a tree every year, right? That's
So
a big
simple,
number.
right?
It's a simple thing.
Yeah.
If you give a small incentive to a woman, say I will give you 20 rupees per sapling. If you give them 100 saplings, that's 2,000 rupees.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all they have to do is like water every day, which they will anyway do.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of room for environment, right? I think, for example, in urban areas, you can do a lot more. But what I would like to tell everyone is, look at the problem analytically. Don't get into this noble cause nonsense. It's a noble cause, that's why you got into it. So don't keep on saying noble cause and continue for 20 years, right? So please apply strong execution and program management principles into whatever you call it, an NGO or a social enterprise. That is what I think, our team does. For everything there is an ask. Why are we putting this money? Why this money is going into this initiative? Why is this not going into another? You won't believe. We write yearly strategies. We have quarterly OKRs. OKRs is a goal setting framework.
Correct.
Then we have monthly scrums.
Oh.
Okay, so believe me when I say this, our processes are much stronger than many corporates. If somebody wants to come and look at it, please take a look at it. We are a very good case study for good process. And that's what keeps us. See, for me, it is this, right? I want to know what I have to focus today.
Correct.
Because I cannot chase 2 rabbits at one time. Tell me which rabbit I have to chase. I will chase that rabbit. So I have a very good idea on numbers, right? For example, for me, that 1,000 people matters.
Correct.
So now my focus is only on those 1,000 people. I will not like Arjuna's thing, right? So you need to know where you have to invest your time. Numbers everywhere. If you don't get an idea on numbers, then you don't have clarity.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think we'll wrap up with 2 things. So one is, somehow we didn't mention this throughout this while, but DJ actually just completed a 150-kilometer walk in just the past 3 days. And he conducts such walks for fundraising multiple times in a year and has managed to be very successful in this endeavor. So can you tell us some more about this?
Every year we organize a walk during Independence Day. It never started for fundraising.
Okay.
I think we have lost 20 million people officially for our independence. One thing that always comes to my mind is I went to Jalandhar.
Okay.
And I saw Jallianwala Bagh. What happened in Jallianwala Bagh, very quickly, is bullets were shot at 10,000 people, 5 to 10,000 people. Gates were closed. Curfew was announced so that they cannot come to hospitals. Water was shut down to hospitals. Just imagine living the 24. I think if you watch Sardar Udham Singh, they have given a very good account. Just watch that movie for the 20 minutes. That is the cost of our freedom. You cannot take it for granted. Freedom is not free. See, because I might sound very old fashioned, but I think our freedom was never free. 43 lakh people died in Bengal famine.
Yeah.
The year India records the highest grain production.
Yeah.
We lose 43 lakh people. Yeah. So this is the price we have paid. And walking for 150 kilometers is where you can feel a small fraction of that pain. Very small fraction. We complain about so many things. Just imagine a kid lying in Jallianwala Bagh who could have saved with a bullet wound, with all the blood. I think you need to imagine those things. This is what I think this country has gone through. Correct. So Freedom Walk was organized to kind of, I think, salute that spirit, salute the, sacrifices, and we attached a cause to it. So till now it was our sports. We have raised around 40 lakh rupees so far in the 8 years. This year it is not yet complete. This year, I think the incident that happened in Calcutta has kind of pushed us a little bit. We want to invest heavily into training women to join the armed forces.
Okay.
I believe strongly if women can get into the military, every other sector the equality will kick in on its own. So target the most toughest sector, and every year if we are able to send like 5-6 girls into the armed forces,
Wow.
I feel everything else I think will be. See, just imagine, right? A bunch of girls walking with their uniforms, right, and calling shots. That will be a great place to be.
Wow.
Right? In every town, for that matter, a lot of things will get corrected.
Wow.
Yeah, nobody will mess with people from armed
Definitely.
forces. Correct. Not even.
Yeah. Very inspiring. So Freedom Walk, Jallianwala Bagh as an inspiration.
I think everyone should go there because the bullets, the bricks have the bullet.
So one crucial aspect about DJ is he loves reading, and we just visited the IIMB bookstore, and he was so excited. He was like a kid in a candy store. So this book I've read, this, oh, I lost this copy, this one I want. And the IIMB is very generous, provides a good discount for books. So ended up buying good number of books. So I think we'll close this session with some very good book recommendations.
Oh yeah. So if all the books were to be burnt in this world, if there was one book, then I think this is highest output management by previous Intel CEO Andy Grove.
Wow.
If there is one manager to learn from, I rate him as the world's best manager who has ever lived in the last 100 years. So please learn from him. There are phenomenal, I think 2 things that he says is why training is boss's job. He has a chapter on that. Then he has a chapter on task maturity model.
Okay.
How do you kind of lead, help an employee grow?
Okay.
Very simple frameworks.
Okay.
This is a book that you definitely have to read. Execution is another book I would highly recommend. Many of you will hate me for recommending this book. It's dry as hell, but this is one of the best books. If you really want to learn execution, I think you read this book. There are many more books. This $1 trillion coach is by Brian Campbell, Brian Campbell. He was teaching football to school kids, school teams. Went on to become the CEO of Intuit.
Oh my God.
He was the executive coach to Steve Jobs, Steve Ballmer, and Eric Schmidt at the same time.
Wow.
So Google and Apple trusted him as a coach when they both had $1 billion lawsuit.
Oh my God.
Just imagine the integrity of a person at that highest level. And this person wouldn't even take money.
Oh.
Finally, Sundar Pichai had to push him to like take stocks. Okay. So the last book I would recommend is Hard Thing About Hard Things. This is a book that you definitely have to read. Whenever you are in trouble, read Hard Thing About Hard Things. As in your entrepreneurship journey, this is a book you carry with you. Because he writes it, I think he wrote that book when he was in a lot of pain.
Okay.
This book really, what should be the CEO mindset? He talks about peaceful, tactics for peaceful time, tactics for war time. Don't apply peace tactics in war zone and war tactics in peace zone. So every book I have here, I have a lot of, I think I would read them 100 times. My last thing to say on books is don't read more than 100 books, but read those 100 books 100 times. So pick such books.
Wow. I think with those book recommendations, I'd like to ask you any last tips, tricks, anything that you want to tell our young audience about your journey or about something that they should be doing. Yeah, I think now is the time.
See, I think it is not as glamorous as it looks. I have told it multiple times as it looks on the surface. It's very messy. So when you get in there, I think things that you would not have thought about will come and haunt you. Things you would have taken for granted. The only mantra is keep innovating, be consistent, build a very strong team. I think if you are doing these things on a regular basis, there is no reason why I think you will not win. I think there is nothing you cannot do. I think today a youngster, a teenager in India can go and do anything that they want to. We have money, we have people, we have guidance, we have everything. So just stick to the problem. Don't quit early. Quitting is another thing which I would say. I think don't quit early. Consistency, innovation, and I would say resilience. Resilience is a very underrated value. Be very resilient. I think Sam Altman said that. What is the number one value? He said resilience. I think resilience is what has gotten JTD so far, and that's what it will get you far as well. Believe in yourself. I think there is nothing that you can achieve that you don't believe in.
Wow. Thank you so much, DJ. I think we had a wonderful session. I learnt a lot about so many diverse things. I learnt a lot about you. I learnt a lot about building a social enterprise. Books that I'm definitely going to pick up and read.
Thanks.
I hope our students learnt a lot, and I think we're very grateful to have you here in the IIMB campus and feature you as part of this program.
Thank you
So
very much.
thank you very much for being part of this session.
Thank you for having me, because this is the first time into IIMB, and I think it's a great campus. So, pleasure.
Yes. I think with that we'll close this session. Until next time, thank you. Bye-bye.